directed towards me was on the regulation with regards to 1 header to 50 heads of cattle, calling of animals, subsidy, and facilitating access, veterinary access and other access to transhumance. The issue is that why this regulation is not working is actually because many countries have not even attempted to implement the regulation. So we don't even know the area to review. That is one. Then secondly, the current regulation, just like the Honorable Speaker stated, is not the member states are saying that it's not in conformity with the reality in their member states. That is the fact. So just last year, we were able to present to the Council of Ministers, and they agreed that they are going to review the regulation. So that is the state we are now. Thank you, Mr. President.
Obrigado pelo cumprimento do tempo. Agora tem a palavra o senhor, o segundo apresentador, aliás, o apresentador do segundo tema.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I have one or two questions relating to my presentation. The first issue that was raised was on the issue of carrying out arms. If the herders, if the herders and farmers carry arms, what does it mean? What do we call it? For example, in the US, like any other country also, you have right to carry arms, especially if it is licensed. But the possession of arms by citizens is not a problem. It is only when the arms are used for illicit purpose that it becomes a challenge. So one can have arms for self-defense. The herders have arms for self-defense, provided it's licensed. That's the most important thing we should take note of. On the issue of my presentation, yes, I was asked actually to make my presentation specifically on the issue of new insight into herder farmers conflict, especially focusing on terrorism and arms proliferation, which I did. What was shown to you in the screen was an earlier one which contains all the recommendations, everything that you have said here. It was a research conducted by the 3 centers of excellence of ECOWAS, Kofi Annan in Accra, National Defense College Abuja, and EMP in Mali. All the countries in the sub-region were divided into 3 segments: the western plank, the eastern plank, and the central plank. So the report is comprehensive with the recommendations. That was why I submitted that for further deliberation. For the presentation which I have made, I have submitted the presentation to the Secretariat, to the rapporteurs, which I believe will be circulated to members. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Obrigado pela resposta. E, por último, tem a palavra o último apresentador.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, it's a privilege. Members of Parliament, you wanted to know the One Health strategy, what role you could play. I think we are proposing a One Health legislation in our member states because Wahoo have already adopted the strategy for One Health. We met in Abuja, and that was done by Wahoo, the West African Health Organization. And so what we want to say now is the One Health approach, working with Ministry of Agriculture, working with the Ministry of Health, forestry, environment ministries to have a One Health legislation will help very greatly in our region so that we promote collaboration and efficiency. And someone wanted to know about certification of cross-border, whether the transhumans, what should you do with certificating animals and testing for diseases. This is part of the surveillance system and the laboratory system in our region. In Liberia, what we do is working with the Ministry of Agriculture, we setting up animal health surveillance. The food that we eat in the food chain, even to the point of the supermarkets, we should make sure we test the meats and everything that we consume because it has an adverse effect on our health. In the slaughterhouses, the diseases that affect the animals that we transport are all very, very much important. So certification, surveillance system, testing for laboratory for diseases before consumption is very, very much important. Somebody wanted to know, one member of parliament wanted to know about the origin of Ebola in West Africa and whether or not there is laboratory system. What we know is by the origin of Ebola in West Africa is the 2-year-old boy that got infected in the village in a hollow where animals were also especially bats. That history has been documented by WHO. And for us in Liberia, we have not rested. We have had research in Liberia and tested almost 5,000 bats in Liberia. And one of the bats in one of our provinces proved that it had the RNA or the antibodies for the Ebola strain of virus. It was the first time in West Africa we found that in bats there were the Ebola virus disease that caused the outbreak in West Africa. What we have not done is to link whether or not that bat that we found the Ebola antibodies is the same bat that caused the outbreak in the region. We have not documented that. So we are still studying to know the link between the outbreak and that Ebola and that bats that were infected. And so, yes, we're now getting close to the evidence that bats do carry the Ebola disease. And in Sierra Leone, there was a research also done about bats carrying another strain of the Ebola virus, but not the one that was causing the outbreak in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And so we want to also make sure that the One Health concept is adapted in the West African region and in the ECOWAS in the community so that we can holistically deal with disease outbreak to prevent, detect, and respond to outbreaks in our region. This is the concept that Wahoo and all of us are promoting right now. And so Liberia is advancing a strategy. Mr. Speaker, we'll be happy to share with you what we do in Liberia in terms of the One Health approach. Members of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Muito obrigado. Eu vou pedir aplauso aos 3 apresentadores. Bom, desta forma, agradeço efusivamente e de forma muito cordial os apresentadores pelas excelentes apresentações. Quero também agradecer em nome de Sua Excelência, o Presidente do Parlamento da CEDEAO, Mustafa Cisselo, todos os colegas, portanto, que participaram e que estão aqui presentes neste importante que participaram no debate, dizer que amanhã retomaremos às 10 horas com 2 temas: a apresentação sobre a legislação nacional da Nigéria em matéria de transhumância e gestão de conflitos entre criadores de gado e agricultores, portanto, a harmonização. Será apresentado o tema pelo embaixador Ousmane Sarki. E o segundo tema, portanto, será